Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show podcast. Hello if you're new. So today's video is going to be a review of Love Island 2020 episode 31. So obviously, as we all know at this point, Caroline Flack has died and it's been confirmed that her cause of death was suicide. It is very sad news. When I first heard what had happened, I literally could not believe it. I literally gasped. I feel like things like suicide is always very shocking, but considering what was going on in her life, I can understand why that might have been an option for her. I think regardless of what you felt about Caroline Flack when she was alive, I think there's no denying that she was a massive part of Love Island. And even this series, it felt like something was missing. And there was some rumours about, her being brought back onto the show. And now that is just never going to happen, it does feel a bit heavy. Obviously, her death has brought about this conversation, and there has been a lot of theorization of the reasons why she chose to. I'm not really going to get into that. I just feel like the woman is dead. We will never really know the true reason why she did it. But one thing that I will address just for the purpose of this video is obviously there has been calls for the show to be cancelled. #cancel Love Island was trending. I saw a lot of people basically pointing fingers at ITV and Love Island for not sticking by Caroline and insinuating that they had a hand in her death. In terms of ITV and Love Island being responsible, I don't think that they are liable. The reason why I don't think that they are liable is because of the situation with the allegation and her being charged with assault or domestic abuse incident, she would not have been able to continue in that role. She already got backlash, but imagine if ITV allowed her to present the show whilst going back and forth through the courts, there would have been so much backlash. That wouldn't have been a great look for ITV or Caroline Flack. So I think it was the right decision for both of them, regardless of whether you thought she was guilty or not. That was the best decision for both of them, for Caroline to step down from the role. I have seen a lot of people say that ITV didn't give her support. I'm not entirely sure if that is true, because from what I heard, she was still in talks with ITV, and from what I had heard, it sounded like if she had been found not guilty for the case, then they probably would have brought her back. And her close friends also haven't mentioned anything about ITV being responsible. So therefore, I don't think ITV is liable. And another thing is, a lot of people have been comparing this to the Ant situation. The half of Ant and Dec. Obviously, he had a drinking problem. He was caught drunk driving, and how the ITV had given him support. And, there's a double standard between the treatment of him and the treatment of Caroline Flack. With the Ant situation, Ant did take time off of the show, whatever shows he was doing with ITV. He took time out. I don't think he had actually officially resigned, but he definitely stepped out of the role for a bit before returning. And I feel like that is what ITV were setting up for Caroline. So I'm not really sure if we can say this is a double standard here, because we don't know how it would have panned out for Caroline if she was to be found not guilty, whether ITV would have brought her back or not. Moving on, obviously, should Love Island be cancelled? I don't think it should be cancelled, but I don't think it'd be the end of the world if it was cancelled. In terms of people trying to correlate it with her deciding to commit suicide, obviously, there's been 2 other suicides of the show now. I think that there were so many external exercises. If you think about what was actually going on in Caroline's life, Love Island was a small part of what was going on in Caroline's life, in my opinion. I'm just going to keep it to that for this video. It's very sad that she committed suicide. Now, what I will say is, in terms of Love Island being back on air so soon, I think it is too soon. And the quality of this episode, the episode wasn't bad, but it felt a bit too soon. I feel like there was enough budget to put the series on ice for another week, I think. To allow everyone to process their feelings, especially people who have been heavily affected by this, including the crew, and especially Ian Stirling. Obviously, we see the tribute at the beginning, and I'm not gonna lie, it felt weird. It felt weird them having the tribute and then going straight into the episode. Like, it took me a good 20 minutes before, it felt normal watching the episode again. And then obviously it was just sad hearing Ian's voice. It was just very sad. I'm guessing Ian obviously wanted to do this tribute. Like, he made a point to come into work to do this. But yeah, it's just very sad all around. Obviously, throughout the breaks, we saw them with the hashtag Be Kind and the number to the Samaritans. Now, I think that is a nice touch, a necessary touch. But I think this should have been from the first suicide. From the first suicide result, there should have been something about, there should have been more charity input / well-being input. Most of the things that we were seeing in terms of Love Island taking into consideration mental health, most of it was just articles in the newspaper like, oh, well, Love Island are now giving the contestants 6 weeks of therapy instead of 2. Because, the people who died, Sophie, I didn't watch that season, but Mike, I watched that season, and he was such an iconic part of Love Island, but Love Island didn't address that in the next series. So obviously Caroline was a big part of the show, and there's no denying that, bigger than Mike, but Mike was still a big part of the show. So I think it's a little bit weird that now they're putting this effort into mental health in terms of ITV explicitly saying it. I think it's a good touch. It feels like it is a little bit late. Out the episode, we kind of just see him coming in and out. It's like you can kind of tell which parts he recorded before he found out the news or before it happened. Yeah, it felt a little bit weird. I'm not sure how it's going to be moving forward. I'm not sure whether they should just bring in a guest voiceover, whether that would be right or whether that would just be weird. I don't know. I think it's back on air a bit too soon, in my opinion. But what do you guys think? And what do you guys think? Do you think ITV is responsible or not? Do you think Love Island is responsible or not? Do you think it should be cancelled? Let me know what you think. So obviously there was no episode on Sunday, so we're literally back where we left off on the Friday episode. Shanice and Luke T are now boyfriend and girlfriend. And we also see Natalia and Jamie kiss. Let's discuss this kiss, because this kiss was weird. Very weird and very suspicious. So first off, Jamie asked Natalia for a kiss. Now, I always think that's a bit strange. I always feel like a kiss should be a go with the flow type of thing. It just happens. But we've seen it time and time again in the show. People asking, can I have a kiss? It's usually the male contestants who are asking the girls for a kiss. But usually it just happens. But Jamie is out here basically insinuating, oh, should they kiss? And Natalia is just trying to skirt around the question. She's skirting around the question for dear life. She's just like, oh no, he's asking for a kiss. I don't want to kiss this boy. I had somebody comment saying basically that there was a rumour that Natalia had a boyfriend and that this boyfriend dropped her to the airport. And from Natalia's behaviour, I can absolutely believe that she has a boyfriend, because the way that her eyes were moving, it was like she was trying to give a signal to her boyfriend on the outside, like, listen, this is just TV. I'm doing it for the bag. I'm doing it for our free holiday in Marbella. Natalia did not want to kiss Jamie. Obviously they kiss, she gives it, a little bit of oomph, but you could tell she did not want to kiss Jamie. Even after it, her eyes are going everywhere. She's trying to give the signal to her boyfriend back home, like, you know what it is, like, we talked about this, remember, I might have to kiss people, but it's all about, but, I'm doing this for us, What do you guys think? Do you think Natalia is just not attracted to Jamie and she's faking it to try and survive? Or do you feel like Natalia definitely has a boyfriend on the outside? Let me know what you think. So obviously after the kiss, she tells the girls about it, but she swears that she doesn't have the ick. So we also see Jess and the Lukes basically discuss Natalia, basically saying, that she's using Jamie, that they're suspicious of Natalia and that they think that she's using Jamie. and that, you know, she's just in here to survive. And honestly, everyone just needs to mind their business. Honestly, Natalia can't just enjoy her free holiday without people on her back. Like, some people saying that it wasn't right that she used Luke to get in the house. The game is the game, baby. And honestly, I don't think Jess was even bothered about this Jamie guy. Like, he's been in there 2 days. I think she just wanted to be shady. We also see another snippet of the Breakfast Club. Luke T is still entertaining the Breakfast Club. Again, he's not really being explicit yet, but he's still entertaining it. And I just feel like it's going to end up being another argument again. Then we have another challenge, which is quite an interesting challenge. It is, how do the other couples feel about the other couples challenge? And the highlights basically were who people thought the fakest couples were. Callum and Molly said Mike and Priscilla, because obviously Mike has just been feeling these strong emotions with, 3 different girls. Jamie and Natalia say Demi and Luke. There was, a lot of shade thrown between Jamie and Natalia and Demi and Luke. And it was, a fair bit of both of them. It wasn't just like Natalia and Luke. It was, Jamie was joining in as well. It's quite juicy. And then everyone else chooses, obviously, Natalia and Jamie basically saying that, it's nothing personal, but obviously they're early days. In terms of the most argumentative couple, it was a split between Molly and Callum and Paige and Finn. In terms of the attention-seeking couples, basically everyone chose Mike and Priscilla. And everyone was basically saying Mike dances a lot and, he's twerking a lot and he's doing his theatrics all over the house. The couple that people would least likely want to double date with, interestingly, Paige and Finn basically said Molly and Callum, and they said it vice versa, and they both mentioned Shauna, which I thought was just a bit weird. Demi and Luke choose Natalia, vice versa. Again, some animosity there. Grumpy, basically everyone said Finn and Paige. But obviously when it was the Grumpy challenge, everyone just kept saying Mike and basically forgetting about Priscilla. And then Mike was like, that'll do, donkey, and pats her on the head. Obviously, it's a Shrek reference. I've watched Shrek 10 times, so I knew what the reference was from. But the pat on the head, that's disrespect. But we'll talk about that a bit later. So most likely to cheat, people voted for Mike and Priscilla. Well, Demi and Luke voted for Mike and Priscilla. They said, obviously Mike having interest in a lot of girls in the house. Most people say Natalia and Jamie because they're early days. Shanice and Luke T and Jess and Ched say Callum and Molly, and they both use the reason of Casa and more. So, obviously after the challenge, Priscilla is pressed, rightly so. Obviously Mike has just disrespected her with that head tap. Who does that? Mike, I did not expect that from Mike. Usually he's quite well behaved, quite respectful. I don't know, maybe the mask is slipping off a bit. Obviously, she's talking to Jess, and Jess is basically like, yeah, you need to check him. Obviously, he comes over, she's giving it to him, she checks him, and they apologise. And my heart goes out to Priscilla because you could just tell that she's over Mike. She's over Mike, but she knows what she has to do to secure the bag. She knows she knows she has to stay with him for until the PAs finish. If she really wants that bag, she's going to have to tolerate him for at least another 3 months. Thoughts and prayers, Priscilla. Next is the vote about compatibility. And, it's the same thing as last time. If you get 1 vote, you're up. But this time, they revealed their votes publicly. So it's a face-to-face thing, which is quite interesting. Obviously, before, you could do stuff behind people's backs with a little text. You're not allowed to say who it was. Okay, producers. I feel like this is how it should be always. So in terms of who I assumed would be vulnerable, I thought it would be Mike and Priscilla, Molly and Callum, and Luke and Demi. And I got all of my predictions pretty much right. So obviously Shanice and Luke, they choose Natalia and Jamie, and Mike and Priscilla. Mike and Priscilla choose Luke and Demi. Interestingly, they say that they don't have a spark, and obviously Natalia and Jamie, standard early days. Natalia and Jamie pick Luke and Demi. There was some shade there in their speech. They basically said that they are not genuine, and how basically they were in the house together before Casa Amor. There was no connection, and now suddenly they have this connection. I get that point, but I feel like they did have a connection. Obviously, Demi and Luke did go on a date. So, and I felt like there was a connection there. I felt like there was a better connection with her and him than Nas. But obviously she chose to go with Nas for her game. But yeah, that was definitely some shade. And it was Jamie saying it as well. I don't know about Jamie. One day he wants to be nice big bro, fatherly figure. Now he wants to be... And then they also choose Ched and Jess, and basically saying how they don't see them being as affectionate with each other. Now, in terms of what I've seen from Jess and Ched, they are very affectionate with each other. So do you know what I think? I think that was a tactical vote. I feel like they wanted to even out the playing field. They were in the bottom two last time, so it would be a safe bet to choose them again. I think that was a tactical vote there. Molly and Luke choose Luke and Demi and Natalia and Jamie. Luke and Demi choose Natalia and Jamie and Mike and Priscilla. Paige and Finn choose Jamie and Natalia and Demi and Luke. And Jess and Ched choose Natalia and Jamie and Callum and Molly. Now, I thought Callum and Molly were going to get away with not getting picked. I was hoping that they weren't going to get picked, but as soon as Jess started speaking, I knew she was going to pick Molly and Callum, and even Molly had her head in her hands because she thought they were going to be safe. I feel like Jess does have a problem with Molly and Callum. Maybe it's out of loyalty to Shauna, but I think she low-key has a problem with Callum and Molly. So obviously up is obviously now Mike and Priscilla, Molly and Callum, Luke and Demi, and Jess and Ched, and Natalia and Jamie. But I definitely thought Natalia and Jamie were going to be up. That was a no-brainer. In terms of who I voted for, I voted for Molly and Callum this time. I usually vote for Mike and Priscilla, but yeah, I have to switch. I usually vote for Mike and Priscilla and hope for the best for Callum, and hope for the best for Callum and Molly. But today, I think I'm going to switch it up and throw my support behind Callum and Molly. In terms of who I think is going to go, I think it's the no-brainer. Natalia and Jamie are gone. Clean sweep, gone. Will they even get one vote? I'll be surprised. But you never know. You really never know, because I feel like this is probably going to be one of the lowest. Obviously, I think most people would have come in to see what the tribute was about, but if I wasn't watching to review, I probably wouldn't have watched the episode past the review, because I'm not gonna lie, it felt strange. Like, it took me a good 20 minutes to really get into the episode without feeling strange. I think many people switched off. Let me know if you switched off. I'd be really interested to know. I think the vote could be quite interesting because of that. And also on my timeline, I didn't see anyone using the hashtag. But yeah, let me know who you voted for. So on my hashtag today, lots of people are saying how today's episode really shows how Ian Stirling carries the show, and how the lack of jokes and narration from him made the episode flat. And I can agree with that. It felt very weird and also with his voiceover, it kept coming in, at different stages. So it was clear that, the narration wasn't actually complete, which is understandable. There's a lot of love for Ian Stirling tonight. People are calling out Natalia for saying that Luke and Demi weren't genuine. There's a lot of love for Priscilla. People are here for the contestants calling Jamie and Natalia the fakest couple. People are here for Ched saying, personally, I wouldn't have it in that challenge when Mike tapped Priscilla on the head. People are saying that watching Love Island now just isn't the same. People are here for Luke coming for Natalia when he's saying, going off my previous experience. People are not here for Mike patting Priscilla's head. People are hoping that Natalia and Jamie leave. Yeah, that's basically the roundup of the tweets. I do think it's going to be a very strange final week. I'm not sure if the show is going to get back into its groove. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, don't forget to put your notification bell in so you'll know when the next podcast is dropping. Till next time, guys. Bye.